All right. Hey YouTube, I'm Lucky, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the topic of Bungie's reprised weapons disaster. Now, if you don't know, a lot of these Moon and Dreaming City weapons have been brought back into the game. They've been reprised into the game. They have different perk options on them, which makes them new-ish and exciting, like new to you, right? And the older versions of them were sunset before. And if you had the god roll of the older versions, you've definitely been pretty sad when you've had to look at some of the rolls of the newer versions, because one big flaw, and Bungie dev and community manager DMG recently just addressed this, is that some of these weapons have been brought back and they've actually been weaker versions than their predecessors, which is especially lame. I mean, you have a god roll weapon, like for example, the Tranquility. Its god roll is amazing, such a strong weapon. It gets sunset, you're like, well, this sucks. And then it gets brought back, you're excited, you can't wait, you're elated to get the same roll or a better roll, ideally a better roll, not the exact same roll, right? And then you look at the perk pool option, and you're like, oh, it's a worse version than it was before. DMG tweets out saying this: reissued Moon and Dreaming City weapons. Saw some great feedback on new rolls over the last week. Some excitement, some desire for alternate perks. What new perk rolls have excited you most? What older perks are you missing most, and why? We're passing the feedback along to the team. Can't promise every single one of your favorite perks will always be on every weapon, but more than happy to relay your thoughts. So definitely addressing it, but definitely not hitting the nail on the head with this one, because when I show you the weapons and the perks that these weapons could roll with, you'll definitely be crying when you think about this, all right? So first up, we have the Tranquility Sniper here, right? This was brought back. This was a Moon Sniper. This could roll previously with firing range, which is a 25% damage boost to precision hits, and this was essential to the god roll of this weapon, right? Now you look in this perk slot, you have Osmosis, which pretty much no one uses because it's such an odd perk. Elemental Capacitor, Frenzy, which is a pretty good perk overall, but it's a 15%, not a 25% damage boost, so significantly weaker than Firing Line. Then you have Thresh right here, and Demolitionist, and Eye of the Storm. So really none of those perks really nearly hold up to the strength of Firing Line. So big sad that Firing Line does not roll on the Tranquility anymore. Essentially, the old Tranquility you had back in the day, the one that I had to delete because it got sunset, was much stronger than the one that's been brought into the game now, which is big sad. I mean, you can even see here the curated roll says it has Firing Line, no distractions. So very sad to see that. Along with that, if you wanted to use the Tranquility in PvP, you need to use Snapshot now, because Quick Draw doesn't give you that faster ADS speed. So this weapon doesn't roll Snapshot though as well. So it's like, great. Can't really use this in PvP. It's not nearly as strong as it was back in the day in PvE. It doesn't really hold up to the other PvE snipers in the game currently. Very big flaw, very sad move made by Bungie in regards to this decision. And I feel like it should be owned up to a little bit more, because when you look at other weapons like the Arc Logic, for example, in its last slot right here, you've got Adrenaline Junkie, Frenzy, Wellspring, Surrounded, Sympathetic Arsenal, and Elemental Capacitor. Some decent perk selections, but there was better options before. There was Rampage. You could get Subsistence Rampage, and now you can't get that anymore. Subsistence Rampage would be amazing on the Arc Logic right now, but it's not even an option anymore. So I'm very sad to see the Arc Logic get brought down. Now we move on to another one, another sad one here. One Small Step, the shotgun, used to be a beast back in the day before the slug shotgun meta. 1-2 punch was insane, and now it's no longer an option, all right? It doesn't matter as much right now because technically the slugs are like the king of using shotguns in PvE, and you don't really use these 140 fast fire rates in PvP too much. But it's definitely sad to see that the One Small Step is a weaker version of its predecessor. Moving on to the next one, the Every Waking Moment. Every Waking Moment has Adrenaline Junkie, Dragonfly, Thresh, Multi-Kill Clip, Wellspring, and Elemental Capacitor, but it used to be able to get Kill Clip, which obviously would be a much stronger perk than any of these damage boosting perks. So why it almost seems like across the board Bungie screwed up all these Moon weapons except the Loud Lullaby, which we're about to get to in just a minute. It's big sad to see this though. Dynamic Sway and Rangefinder would have been a really good role as well for this. Rangefinder, Dynamic Sway, oof, that would have been a nasty Every Waking Moment. Now we get Rangefinder and no Dynamic Sway and no Kill Clip. The Loud Lullaby does have some really good options though. So somehow Bungie, I mean, I don't know if they're just, what they're doing at the HQ, if they're just throwing a dart at a board and just whatever it lands on, that's the perk they select. But somehow the Loud Lullaby actually has the opposite effect, which actually has really good perks. Kill Clip is on it now, and that's going to be great for 2-tapping. Slide Shot, obviously a really good perk as well. You could have had Outlaw back in the day, which would have been nice. I don't know if Kill Clip was on the old roll for it, but Outlaw Kill Clip would obviously be really nice, and you can't get that anymore. but still, the Loud Lullaby is definitely solid in the meta. Like the only 120 currently that's available to farm for that can roll kill clips. So we're not going to complain about the Loud Lullaby, okay? You did a good job with Loud Lullaby, Bungie. Leave it be. But when it comes to bringing back these old reprised weapons, just give it the exact same slot. Like if you're going to bring back one small step, give it all the old perks that it used to have, and then maybe just add 2 more to the end of it, 2 of the newer perks that you've brought back. So that way you get the same as you could get the same god roll you had before, or you can get a new combination. You know what I'm saying? You're going to sunset weapons and then bring them back, which is literally the saddest rotation of new content, or quote unquote new content you can make. At least make it newish where you can actually get new rolls and new perks that you're chasing for and make them stronger than their predecessor, because that's especially lame to see that. Moving on to the last one we'll talk about, which is another issue entirely of its own, which could be a separate video, which is that the Dreaming City weapons are bugged, and it was only recently addressed by Bungie that they are bugged, but they are bugged and you can't get these right now. If you look at the Twilight Oath, this bad boy back in the day was Snapshot, Box Breathing. Oof, that was the roll to get. That curated roll was so nasty. You can still get Snapshot on it, so we're not going to complain too much. Can't get Box Breathing on it anymore. A little bit sad about that, but you could get some cool rolls like No Distractions, maybe even Mulligan, stuff like that. So not too bad overall, but it's just sad to see that you can't get those same perks that you could get back before these weapons were sunset. So let me know your thoughts about all of this down in the comment section below. I mean, I'm still excited to have things to grind for, but it's sad that we're excited to grind for things that are weaker than the things we grinded for a year or 2 years ago. You know, that's why I'm upset about it. That's why a lot of the people in the community are upset about it. And that's why DMG, the community manager, actually had to respond to it on Twitter and talk about this topic, because it's a pretty hot topic right now. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to stay up to date on all the news in Destiny 2, again, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on. Smash the like button. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Later.